Good morning. So I just left the gym, and yeah, I'd say I'm loving doing all the weights and stuff at the minute. Now I pay £27 a month, and for me that is absolutely worth the investment. However, for a lot of people, they have gym memberships and they never use them. And I kind of thought that gives me a bit of an idea today. Can you have your own sort of home-based gym for under £27? Let's make it under £30 for today. So essentially the price of a gym membership. Can you have a home sort of fitness studio and get the same benefits going to the gym for around £30? That's going to be worth it. I have some equipment at home that I think I really like, and we'll see if we can keep that price at £30 and get a full body workout. So you're going to head back, have my lunch, and then we'll crack on with it. So the first bit of equipment we are going to use is this thing here. Now I only paid around £2.50 for this, and to be honest with you, you can probably get them for about a fiver. And I think, again, for the average person, this is quite good because it's extremely versatile. I mean, it looks extremely strange, but what I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you some exercises you can do with this, because actually it's not just for your thighs. It's called a thigh toner, but it could be used for arms and, yeah, even your abs. I'm going to show you how right now. Right, now this is going to look a little bit strange, but my one advice for this is keep your hands on it, but you can work the muscles on the inside of your legs using this. So this is the main thing it's for, essentially. Now I'm just going to keep my hands here. Now this is nice and foamy, so it's nice and soft, but essentially you just squeeze the inside of your legs like this. Now I actually find, obviously, it's too easy. There's no real resistance. So the best thing to do, if you do find it too easy, is just hold it for as long as you can. And I can just feel that tension then on the inside of my legs. And yeah, essentially, you're working those muscles on the inside. So I think they're your adductors. But yeah, that's not that difficult. For someone who's used to doing it, that's not that difficult. Anyway, let's have a look what else you can do with it. Now, I must admit, I've been watching another person on YouTube on what exercises they do with this, and they do a bicep curl. So essentially, they just rest that sort of joint of the equipment in between where your arm joint is, and then hold it there and just flex. I'll be honest, I don't think that's that effective for me. Can I really feel it? Maybe a tiny bit. Actually, no, I can. Now I've stopped it and now I've sort of stretched my arm out. You can feel that a little bit. So yeah, you can do some bicep curls with it, and obviously your leg muscles. Let's see what else there is. I'm watching the video as I do it. Okay, so you can even do your abs with this. It's £2.50 thigh toner. So what you want to do is you want to rest it on your legs, the joint here, and then literally keep a nice straight back and lean forward, tensing your abs. Again, I tend to film these after lunch, and that's not very nice. Am I getting a lot from that? I think for someone who's not used to doing it, definitely, but I do things like sit-ups and stuff, so I can't really feel that. But you can also do it under the arm as well, where you hold it like this, squeeze down. I don't know what that's working. Is it working anything? Anyway, that's another exercise you can do. And I think there was one more which you can do as well, which essentially is just this. Squeezing it like this. Again, I can't really feel anything, to be honest with you. But there are plenty of things you can do with this if you wanted to. So again, just like this, or like this. And I've managed to do my biceps, I've done my abs, I've done my legs. And for £2.50, yeah, it's not that hard, but for someone, that's better than nothing. If you're an elderly person who maybe, again, is worried about sort of muscle wastage, and it's a rainy day and you don't want to go to the gym, let's get that. So let's add that to this. Now, I paid, as I said, £2.50. It's not online now, but it was from Mountain Warehouse. It was on sale. So yeah, we've still got £27.50 to go, and we've got a pretty all-round workout there. So what have I got next on my list of things you can buy for under £30? Right, so there are plenty of things online that involve grip strength, and there's something that in the last year has been really pushed in the news. And you would have just seen there was an article from the BBC which says that grip strength is a real indicator of your overall health, and it can predict how long you're going to live essentially because it's linked to a load of conditions, obesity, diabetes. Apparently, your grip strength can tell you, your risk of it. Now, you can get a sort of grip strength kit, which has things in it like a little ring which you can squeeze. This thing here, you work your fingers essentially. I never use it. And then this one's like a rubber brass knuckles, and you essentially stretch your fingers out, and yeah, it's quite tiring. But the one thing you can just buy on its own, and this is the thing I would buy from it if there was anything to buy, is this grip sort of strengthening thing. And it goes from 10 kg to 40 kg. And all you got to do is turn this dial, and that makes it easier or harder. And then literally, it's just squeeze it so the spring stretches. And yeah, apparently that's very good for you. I have to say, when I've used this for a little while, it's quite effective. And actually, I do find stronger hands does make a difference. It's the sort of thing you don't really think about working. But actually, when you are sort of gripping things and stuff, it does give you that extra sort of strength to lift a weight. So I definitely recommend one of these. Now, the cheapest I could find these for was about £5 again. So again, we spent about £7.50 for this and this, and so far I'm pretty impressed with that. £7.50 for the two. I don't think you can go wrong. We've worked our hands, arms, abs, legs. We're going to need to recover a little bit as well, so I think you might know what's coming next. It's a little bit painful, this one. Right, so there are plenty of things online that involve grip strength, and there's something that in the last year has been really pushed in the news. And you would have just seen there was an article from the BBC which says that grip strength is a real indicator of your overall health, and it can predict how long you're going to live essentially because it's linked to a load of conditions, obesity, diabetes. Apparently, your grip strength can tell you, your risk of it. Now, you can get a sort of grip strength kit, which has things in it like a little ring which you can squeeze. This thing here, you work your fingers essentially. I never use it. And then this one's like a rubber brass knuckles, and you essentially stretch your fingers out, and yeah, it's quite tiring. But the one thing you can just buy on its own, and this is the thing I would buy from it if there was anything to buy, is this grip sort of strengthening thing. And it goes from 10 kg to 40 kg. And all you got to do is turn this dial, and that makes it easier or harder. And then literally, it's just squeeze it so the spring stretches. And yeah, apparently that's very good for you. I have to say, when I've used this for a little while, it's quite effective. And actually, I do find stronger hands does make a difference. It's the sort of thing you don't really think about working. But actually, when you are sort of gripping things and stuff, it does give you that extra sort of strength to lift a weight. So I definitely recommend one of these. Now, the cheapest I could find these for was about £5 again. So again, we spent about £7.50 for this and this, and so far I'm pretty impressed with that. £7.50 for the two. I don't think you can go wrong. We've worked our hands, arms, abs, legs. We're going to need to recover a little bit as well, so I think you might know what's coming next. Right, so you've got a choice here. You can either get this type of foam roller or one of these sort of massage balls. Now, again, you can get these really cheap. A foam roller, again, you can get online for £5. Now, these are painful. If anyone's ever used a foam roller before, you'll know what I mean. You roll on these, it hurts. It hurts a lot. But they're really good. They're basically a self-massager. But again, you can just get a ball like this. If you're not, again, too keen, you just want to do a little home workout, this would more than do the trick. All you got to do is just rub it, really roll it into your legs. Oh, that's painful. Wow. aching a bit. I've started running properly again since the ultra, and it's most of my muscles are getting very tight. But yeah, you can just roll this round your leg. It just makes it feel a little bit looser. So yeah, I recommend getting something like this. And again, I've seen them online for about £5. So far, all we spent is £12.50, and we've got a massager and some strengthening equipment. Now, there's a couple of other things I still think I'd recommend buying, which I have, and it involves going back to weights again. So I'll show you. Kettlebell. Now these are great. Now I don't expect you, if you're doing like a cheap workout, you're probably not going to buy a 10 kg one because that's going to be super heavy. But this can work the side of your stomach to your obliques, like so. But what I also like with kettlebells, if you get one light enough, you could probably do your bicep curls a bit. So you don't need your dumbbells, and you can do your shoulders like this. Or if you're feeling really, really brave and energetic, you can put it between your legs and fling it up like this. So there's plenty of things you can do with a kettlebell, and I think they're really versatile. And the ones I found online were about £8. So again, I recommend a kettlebell for that reason. You can also do like sort of twists like this. And that's the thing I would recommend if you're buying like sort of cheap equipment that you just want for home and in a £30 budget. Anything that you can do more than one or two things with is perfect. And something like that, if you just walk around the garden even with that, and then you sort of get used to holding it, shopping bags are definitely not going to feel so heavy after. So we've now spent £5 for the grip and the foam roller, so £10. The thigh exerciser, £12.50, and the kettlebell, £8. So about £20 and 50p. So we've still got sort of £10 to play with. I've got one more item I want to show you because this is one of my favourite ones. Okay, so the last thing I would recommend, now disclaimer, these were actually £12, so I'd be over budget, but you can buy them online for cheaper. These are arm and ankle weights. Now I have walked on the treadmill with these before, like this, and honestly, just having that extra weight on your wrist really, really works your biceps. So again, if you're looking for strong arms, these are 1 kilogram, but you can get 0.5 kg ones. I think for most people that would be more than adequate, particularly if you're walking long periods with them. So yeah, you can have them on your arms like this. Again, just walking with them on makes a huge difference. You may feel like it looks a bit strange, but who cares? Ultimately, if you're exercising at home, it doesn't matter, does it? And they're basically Velcro. So then what you can do is you can put them on your legs. And I have to say, this has helped me so much get over hamstring injuries. And I'll show you a couple of the exercises you can do with them as ankle weights. You can have these tighter than I've got them, but I haven't put them on very well, I must admit. But essentially, you can do some sort of hamstring stretches like this and swing your leg with a weight on the bottom. And I have to say, do this for 20, you can start to feel that extra weight on your legs. Oh. So yeah, you can do that. So I use that quite a lot to strengthen my hamstrings. And also, just as simple, holding that sort of position like that, I can really feel my hamstring. You probably can't really see it, but it's very much tense at the moment. And that is really working it. And it's just two simple ways, again, you can do a sort of leg strengthening workout, because your hamstrings, particularly if you do your running and walking, are the things that get most tight. So yeah, I think all in all, £29.50 is roughly what you can get all these items for, just on prices I've paid for and things I've seen online. And then you've had a whole body workout. So yeah, another piece of equipment, if you find you're not really that into weights and stuff, you might want to get something like a balance board, particularly for rehab. This was what I used when I had, after my ankle surgery. This is something I used to kind of retrain the sort of nerves in my legs, the proprioception. And what you do is you just stand on one side, and then it's really hard work. This, as you can see, I'm not going very far. But yeah, you can really work those muscles in your ankle And again, you can get these between sort of £8 and £12. If you want to spend a bit more, you can. This is a wooden one, but the plastic ones do just as well. And yeah, it's just really good for strengthening those muscles around your ankle joint. You can also do like wobbly sort of press ups with it, which is a lot harder than a normal press up, let me tell you that. So yeah, again, I paid about £10 for this, but if you weren't that interested in other, some of those other bits of equipment, this certainly is good for, I said, strengthening those muscles around your ankle. Of course, the other thing as well, which we haven't really touched on with a lot of the equipment I've just sort of bought there, is cardio. Now, you're not going to get a treadmill for a £30 budget, and if you do, I wouldn't trust it. You probably got it on eBay, you probably got it from someone who's used it to death. It probably doesn't work very well. But I'm walking on our home one now, and this one is brilliant. It was about £150. Now, I wouldn't run on it, but as you see, it's quite narrow and it doesn't have an incline. But it's perfect for just doing some nice walking and, without the real high impact of going on uneven terrain outside. And yeah, it's perfect. So many times when I was doing my ultra training, if it was like a rainy evening or for whatever reason I didn't really have time to go out, perfect. If it didn't feel very well, it was perfect. Like I said, you can just do a little bit then just to kind of keep yourself moving. Opportunity if you've got Wi-Fi, nearby, you can just sort of plug your headphones in, does the job. So again, you can get these for around £150 if you were worried about your sort of cardiovascular fitness. I think these are better than those cheap sort of exercise bikes and cross trainers you can get, because they don't feel very natural, whereas I'm controlling my movement here. It's just the belt that's moving. Those other things like bikes and cross trainers, they have a certain stride. I'm in full control of what stride length I'm doing and, as I said, how sort of smooth it feels. So definitely recommend, if you really worry about cardio, £150 for one of these. Bargain, really. As long as you use it, you'll certainly get your money's worth of it. So yeah, that's it for today. Again, I hope for anyone who is watching this, and is maybe considering buying some bits for home, I hope it's giving you some ideas of things that are out on the market. And as I said, I think what you'll find, particularly with stuff, if you're trying to buy it sort of cheap and you have a budget of around £30, if you're someone who's quite into their sport and stuff, you're probably going to find a lot of it's not very hard. It tends to be lighter weights, or they haven't got certain settings on them to make them that difficult. So you probably find a lot of the cheap stuff doesn't really have an impact on you. However, if you're someone who's just starting out fitness, or someone who's elderly, who just feels like they need a bit of strength, or, as I said, maybe you don't feel very well, you just want something at home if you can't get to the gym or whatever, I think this stuff does the trick. You can make a lot of them harder if you want to as well. And as I said, a lot of it's quite versatile. I'm hoping some of those sort of, bits of equipment. I've used foam rollers and stuff for a lot of my rehab, and even that arm exerciser and stuff. If you really want it to be, you can hold it in position, and that resistance over time will make it feel difficult. But as I said, I think a lot of that sort of cheaper end of equipment is kind of more for you people who are just starting out at fitness, and I think it serves that purpose really well. And you'll definitely tone up if you do it properly as well. So yeah, I certainly advise trying these things and just buying equipment that, as I said, is versatile. You can use it on your arms, use it on your legs, and work different muscles in the body all at the same time. So yeah, again, I hope that's just giving you a bit of an idea of what's around. And as I said, there's plenty of things out there. You can get medicine balls, you can get loads of things that are related to yoga, resistance bands. The list is endless. And I just recommend going on to Decathlon, Sports Direct. And to be honest with you, when it's a certain price like that, I've just taken a bit of a gamble at times. So yeah, I would just have a go with things, just test them out, and if they work for you, fantastic. Anyway, hope you've enjoyed this one, and yeah, I'll catch you later.